movie began with the news of the illegal lumberjacks, or illegal logging on Earth, land of the Philippines, which has always been covered up to the general public. Now all began to unfold one by one. Sin also moved to a mayor, who gave a mandate to one of the expert photographers to take photos of rare Rafflesia flowers. The mayor intends to make Rafflesia flowers, this as his city's current iconic dashing man with his sweet buyer walk. This is a photographer named France.
Nakapag-research na rin po ako dito bago ako pumunta dito.
Good. Without wasting time, the French went in the company of Roger as a guide and one of the mayor's men. Before you get to your destination, Roger made a quick stop by his hometown, which happens to be in the same direction as the place. Want them to go to? Arrived at Roger's house, he directly gave some money to Mom, and also her grandmother. When he was about to continue his journey, suddenly their car was intercepted by the old man, who immediately asked Roger about his daughter's situation, because during his daughter was brought by Roger to come to work into the city during. The princess did not once gave news of him. While in the car, the French don't bother with Roger's personal problems. But not unexpected, the atmosphere that France felt was starting to feel different. France felt that there was an astral presence nearby, and sure enough, a beautiful woman wearing a transparent white dress that shows off her lotto, also a black ant nest plastered faintly. The woman approached the French and whispered a message to France, as if hinting for the French, following his wishes. Then immediately, the woman like an angel vanished in the wind. While Roger, who do not care about the babbling of the fathers, he quickly died without guilt. Even though he had brought a girl, people who now knows where the poor girl is. The French who saw the incident asked Roger what happened earlier, but Roger only replied that the gentlemen were indeed strange to the person he just saw. Their journey continued. On a pretty long journey, it puts France into a deep sleep, and he had dreamed of meeting the woman who gave her magical whisper earlier, in the same outfit as in the beginning, but this time he was accompanied by an albino python, which led the French to a waterfall, where there are four. The woman in the costume is exactly the same as the woman at the beginning. Without much conversation, backflip 5 against 1 can no longer be avoided. But unfortunately, the beautiful dreams of France have to stop because of their travel. It can only be reached on foot, said Roger on his way. France, hampered with beautiful views of the beauty of the tropical forest, which is the view, is a very rare moment for photographers. The opportunity did not want to be thrown away by France. He kept capturing that moment in his camera, but in the middle of the forest they saw a girl who asked for help. This cute woman in shabby clothes named Gina. France was surprised by the arrival of a sweet woman in the middle of the wilderness, but Roger convinced that Gina, this had a mental breakdown a long time ago. This is Roger's ex-lover. Then we get taken to the flashback, Roger's past. In his good times, Roger also Gina make love together and had wanted to get married. But at that time, they were constrained by money problems. Gina also worked in the city with Roger. Instead of working together, Gina was even entrusted to Gemoy mothers named Minda. Gina was forced to guard the night stall, to accompany the illegal loggers workers. While the money from the backflip, it was instead given to Roger for him to enjoy alone.
Tapos niyan, ito naman.
Back to the French trip, and Roger, who had entered the interior of the forest, but the already nighttime day forces them to rest and set up a tent while waiting. It's getting light when Roger was fast asleep. From a distance, it turns out Gina watched them. Looks like all along, their journey was deliberately followed by Gina. Gina she was already upset because her sacred love for Roger had been tainted with a knife. He intends to beat this blonde guy. Just lucky the French came in time. He managed to prevent the bad intentions of this sweet girl. Move on the other side of the forest. It seems a hunter was setting up his small tent. where he also intends to overnight to rest and resume the hunt tomorrow. And the activities of the hunter. It was watched by a mysterious woman in a white dress. Apparently the hunter's daily life. This is so not enviable to imitate, because she's always hunting animals that are not supposed to be targets. Hunting is not just hunting as good as his forehead. He also always causes damage in nature, and this is what makes the mysterious woman. This gets angry to hunter, and the mysterious woman guardian. This forest taught the hunter a lesson. With the power that he had, deliberately knocking over a big tree, to be crushed by the hunter. As a result, the hunter became deceased instantly. Back to France and also Roger. We're already asleep. France again dreams. The dream continues the dream. Before that was cut off while in the car, until France met the woman who first whispered something. While in the car, women in the same clothes, but this time he brought his albino python, where the woman, it also takes over in the back flip together. But unfortunately, the scene had to stall, because it instantly turns into a nightmare. France woke up from sleep. Roger, they invited the French to continue their journey. In the middle of the ride, they found a corpse of a man. That is the hunter. They saw dead bodies. It was rotting with the body part crushed by a large tree. France began to feel strange about the state of the forest that he crossed. Plus, dreams of his dreams always haunt the French mind. Roger, who didn't want this trip to be in vain, he tried to explain that this kind of incident has often happened when in a dense tropical forest, so France doesn't have to worry about what he sees. Until they keep going, and accidentally met a waterfall, which is exactly the same as the waterfall inside her dream France. But France still positive, thinking that it's all just a coincidence. The journey continues. As they got deeper into the forest, they found illegal activities, which the illegal loggers to tear down big trees. Even though the forest area has entered the protected forest, it is the habitat of wild animals, protected by the government. France also intends to document the activities of illegal loggers with her camera, but one of the workers looked at what the French. He is John, who don't accept that France photographing tree felling activities that they did. There was tension there. But lucky Roger was able to break up the French and John so that things don't get worse. Not long after, a girl suddenly approached them. This girl named Angela, who bumped into Roger to collect on the promise to Roger if he would be employed in a famous office. Look at that thing. The French began to feel suspicious of what Roger was doing. Then, the French suggested that Roger should deliver Angela to where she lives, and he was happily left alone. But Roger snapped at the French that this is not French business at all, and asked not to interfere in this matter. Roger also delivered Angela, who wanted to try to escape from Mom. Minda, the coffee shop owner, arrived at the Winda coffee shop, seen the illegal loggers who were also in the shop, especially John, who had an argument with the French. John thinks France is not a photographer, but rather an intelligence member of the government, who deliberately supervised the illegal activities they are involved in, and in the end, the French were held into a small room with Angela because they considered the French would endanger the fields. Money has not been detected by the regimes. Then negotiate John, Winona and Roger that the two people these brackets made it free to public, then they will be cut down by the regimes. John also suggested that France must be resolved as soon as possible, but Roger at the time wanted to postpone what John intended because she's tired. On a long journey to get into the forest, Roger instead chose to Oprek the ant-hill Oprek, employee of Minda. While on the other, Angela tells the chronology of how he got in the woods. Here he reveals that he left, both with her sister named Carla, who from the beginning was promised a decent job by Roger instead of metropolitan life that they were even employed in the hell of the world for their brother. These brothers. Heard the sad story of these brothers. France can only be silent and give advice in order to be strong in the face of all this. Until the time is about to enter dawn, Gina came to the rescue of France and another. He asked them to escape from this place as soon as possible. before Roger and Sis realized, until the sun began to show itself. It was John who examined his prisoners. Surprised to find that the room was empty, John quickly reported the incident to Roger. With their attitude, immediately step on the gas. Following France, who had fled with 3 women, John, who has experience living in the forest, he knew which way would be more appropriate to intercept those prisoners of his. And sure enough, the 3 people were found, almost caught. But suddenly rwanda attacked by the herd of snakes.
It's okay.
Roger, who managed to escape from the crowd of snakes, he did not care about the fate of John and the others. While on the other, French Angela and Carla tried to take a break, which happens to be near them resting. There is a collection of rafflesia flowers that are growing in bloom. Without wasting a chance, France grabbed her camera and immediately took pictures, but not unexpected. Precarious things happened, where Carla was seriously injured by John, had to be abandoned. Because France must choose to bring Angela, whose potential will be stronger, survive with a heavy heart. Angela left her sibling alone. Quickly, France holds Angela and trying to get out of the dense tropical forest, and immediately report what they're going through to the authorities. Arrived when France faced the mayor. He told me the tragic events that he had, ranging from illegal logging until the muddy business is muddy rwanda. But instead of getting support, the French were asked not to tell this to the general public. The mayor's appearance. It also takes over with the activities involved. Roger and John. Roger was already in his hometown. He went there intending to find Angela. Instead of Angela that she got, it was the angel of death that awaited Roger. As a result, Roger, completed by the fathers, who had intercepted the trip at the beginning earlier. While France was upset because he couldn't telling the lives of the poor women in the forest, he continues to be haunted by guilt if trouble this is not disclosed. Then his wife, France, he also intends to post this incident to social media, and that effort paid off. The story became a trending topic in the Philippines, and in the end, Mayor Rwanda must be responsible for their actions, and the movie was finished.